Please like this video. It will really help this story reach as many people as possible. Thank you so much for your support. She stepped out of the elevator half a stride ahead, brushed my hand off like lint, and slid into the crowd as if I'd just delivered her coat. Rooftop lights, music, the skyline over Houston. Nice backdrop for being recast as someone's plus one. She cut straight toward Ryan Mercer, the agency's senior account face, and let him pull her in. Not a hug, but the kind of half-embrace people slip back into when they never left it. His palm landed low on her back, lower than a colleague should even think. "Jenna," I called. She turned her head, not her body. Smile for the room, teeth for me. "Don't be weird, Mark. It's a party. You're putting on a show," I answered. "And I'm not the extra." "You're embarrassing yourself." Flat, practiced. She didn't even lower her voice. Mercer didn't move his hand. Someone nearby gave a little whistle like high school. I watched that hand, counted 2 beats, then one more. The roof felt smaller and clearer at the same time. If I'd known what was stacked behind that night, I'd have left sooner and spared myself the elevator ride. A woman about 50 with a severe bob and a dress that said, "I decide budgets," stepped into my sight line like a referee. Victoria Hale, agency head, Jenna's boss. We'd met once at a fundraiser. She didn't waste time. "Marcus Hill," she said. "That's me." She looked past me at Jenna, laughing up at Mercer. "Your wife has been circling Mercer for months." "That's not rumor. If you want clarity, sew an AirTag into her tote. Line the seam." I held her stare. Calm, direct. No smirk, no sugar. "Why tell me?" "Because confusion is expensive," she said. "And I like my agency clean. Do with that what you want." She could have left it there. She stayed long enough for me to realize she was giving me a line out, not a lecture. "Appreciate the bluntness," I said. "Good." She tipped her head toward the exit. "If you're smart, you won't perform here." I didn't. I walked to Jenna and Mercer, stopping a foot out like a contractor evaluating a wall that's already out of plumb. "Time to go," I said to Jenna. She didn't move. "Excuse me? We just got here. You've done what you came to do." Mercer finally lifted his hand. "Hey man, relax." I didn't look at him. "Jenna." She rolled her eyes for the onlookers, then turned toward the elevator like it was her idea. In the elevator, she leaned against the rail and crossed her arms. "If you'd like to keep your job," she murmured, "maybe stop policing my work events." "Not policing," I told her. "Just not volunteering to be a prop." She huffed. "This is why people think engineers are dull. You read into everything." "Sure," I said. "We'll talk at home." She smirked at the mirrored doors. "You can try." In the parking garage, she started in again, and I let the words slip by like traffic noise. On I-10 back to Austin, she thumbed her phone, laughed at something, did that thing where she rotates the screen away, makes it about privacy, not secrecy. I kept my hand steady on the wheel. When we got to our duplex, I hung my jacket, unlaced my boots, and didn't ask for explanations or rollout speeches. I poured water, drank half, set the glass down. "Talk," she said, standing in the kitchen doorway like a prosecutor who liked her job too much. "Tomorrow," I answered. "Short format." She frowned. "What does that even mean?" "It means I'm done with circular. We're going to keep things clean and brief. No assumptions, no default plans. You want time, ask. You want to share a calendar, propose. Until then, I'm on my schedule." "You're punishing me?" "I'm putting rails on chaos." She laughed without humor. "Don't do this. You'll make it worse." "That depends on what this is." "Victoria was out there," she said, shifting angle. "I saw her talking to you. Don't let her twist things. She wants me out. She hates talent, you know that." She gave me a fact. I replied. "I'll confirm or ignore." That's it. "God, you're so robotic sometimes." "Maybe. Robots build bridges that don't fall." She threw up her hands. "Perfect. Lecture mode." "No lecture," I said, and turned off the kitchen light. "Tomorrow." I set my alarm an hour earlier than ours used to be. Separate lanes. Clean lines. A small decision can be a concrete wall once you load it with a rule. At 5:30 the next morning, the smell of bacon and French toast hit the hallway. Jenna never cooked breakfast. Not once in our marriage, unless you count pouring cereal. I stepped into the kitchen to a magazine spread. Berries, 2 plates, cloth napkins we didn't own yesterday. She wore a soft sweater, no makeup, hair pulled back. She looked staged. Surprise, she sang. Thought we could reset. Coffee strong. Thanks, I said, and Saturday this looks nice. I know I was sharp last night, she said, sliding into the chair across. Work pressure. Ryan always drags people around, and I'm the shield. It's politics. You let him hang his hand on you. I cut in. That's not politics. She lifted her chin. Oh my God, you're actually jealous. I'm actually observant. Fine, she said. If this is about optics, I can be mindful. We're grown. We can talk without making it weird. We just did. I answered, and forked a bite of French toast. Schedule. I've got site visits this week. Evenings are mine unless we put something on the calendar. She blinked. We always do Thursdays with pizza night. That's our thing. Not anymore by default. If you want a plan, send an invite. You're being cold. I'm being clear. She exhaled. Okay. Then Friday. I booked a table at a new place. Date night. Don't roll your eyes. You're going. Send details, I said. I'll see if it fits. See if it fits? She tasted the words like vinegar. I'm your wife. Exactly, I answered. We'll treat each other accordingly. She studied me. I let her. Someone learns more from a blank wall than from a mural. Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still listening, please hit the like button on this video. It really helps YouTube show this story to more people. Thank you so much for the support. Now let's get back to the story. After breakfast, she kissed my cheek for show and lingered like she might push more. I rinsed the dishes and went to the garage to check the torque wrench in my truck toolbox. Anything to put my hands around a piece of the world that obeys torque specs. That night, she queued up a romantic comedy from 10 years ago, slid under my arm like we were back in year 2, and laughed too hard at all the beats. Halfway through, she reached for my hand. See, she said, we just need time. Maybe, I said. I didn't move away, didn't move closer. On the coffee table, her tote sack gaped open. She always left it like a nest. When she went to shower, I pulled a small white disc from my toolbox drawer, needle and thread already looped twice. It took 3 minutes to work the tag into the lining beneath a pocket seam she never used. 2 extra knots, a trimmed thread end. Nothing surgical, just precise enough to stand up to the day. I didn't feel proud or dirty. I felt like a man measuring a beam before cutting it. The next morning, my phone drew a neat gray trail across a map. Jenna's office. Then a coffee shop on the east side we never visited. Then back to the office. I didn't make a big deal out of it. Information without drama. She came home at 8 with takeout from a fancy place. Look at me spoiling you, she grinned, setting out containers. You love the mushroom pasta. I'll reheat tomorrow, I said, tapping a text to a foreman about a site change. You're serious about this my schedule thing? She put her hands on her hips. I am. You're punishing us both. Then propose a better structure. Control freak, she muttered, but softer now, recalibrating. Efficiency freak, I replied. She cleaned up in silence. The map on my phone drew another neat line early the next morning, from office to client breakfast, looping toward a hotel garage 2 blocks from where Ryan Mercer's condo sat. The line stayed parked there for 2 hours. Data points aren't emotions. They're just nails in a board. I drove to Houston that afternoon on my lunch hour and took the elevator up to the glass cube on the agency's 10th floor. The receptionist blinked at a man in work boots among white sneakers and thin laptops. Victoria expecting you? She asked. She left the door cracked. I said, tell her Marcus from last night. Hill's office had transparent walls and a view of everybody. She stood when I walked in and gestured to a chair that looked expensive and was actually comfortable. She didn't smile. You brought your own math? She asked. I took your note. I prefer numbers. She slid a folder across her desk, then read. Photos, timestamps, parking logs from a private investigator listed as a consultant on her letterhead. In one shot, Ryan and Jenna sat in a conference room with the team. Under the table, her hand rested on his thigh. Not a guess. The angle caught it. Clear as a blueprint. I looked up once. You pay for surveillance on your own people? I pay to protect accounts, she said. When senior staff and a manager start co-booking hotel rooms under different reservation names for adjacent nights on the same client in 2 cities, I pay someone to ask if that's coincidence or corruption. Do you want the digital trail? At minimum, they consolidated assets and moved decks off platform to personal drives. It's sloppy. And the personal part of this. I asked. That's your business, she said. I'm not a pastor. I'm a strategist. She stood like she might walk around her desk, then didn't. One more thing. I need to know if you're a mess or a man. You going to turn this into theater? No, I said. She walked close enough to test me. Her hand touched my forearm. Light pressure. Quick, like a check on a circuit. You sure? I shifted her hand gently back toward her side. No. Good, she said, as if I'd passed an exam. Do what you need to do. When you're ready, give me a signal. I'll open the server logs and call HR. We'll do it clean. Why tell me first? I asked. Because Jenna's talent is real, she said. But she and Mercer decided they could run my shop from a side room. That's not happening under my name. You needed to be the one to decide what you want from your marriage before I move the chess pieces. If you want quiet, you get quiet. If you want light, I flip the switch. I don't burn people without warning the bystanders. You're cold, I said. I'm ethical, she corrected. Those aren't opposites, I admitted. I left her office with the folder tucked under my arm and drove across town to Ryan Mercer's brownstone. I rang, kept my hands visible in the camera frame above his door. He opened in gym shorts and an expensive t-shirt, saw me, and blinked. Marcus, he said. What is this? Administrative, I told him, and held up my phone with a short draft email visible. By Monday morning, you'll send a resignation letter. I don't care what story you use. Reductions, burnout, city move. If not, this packet goes to your HR and security. Logs, cameras, billing entries, dry cleaning tickets, parking pulls. You'll be finished by lunch either way. I prefer the letter. His mouth opened, closed. This is ridiculous. Timestamps aren't opinions. He glanced down the hall, like maybe someone was listening. You won't do it. Try me. You can't threaten me on my doorstep. This isn't a threat, I said. It's a courtesy. Monday. Enjoy your weekend. He stepped forward a fraction. You don't want to make enemies. I build bridges that carry trucks, I said. I don't notice bugs on the windshield. I turned and walked away before he could recover enough to grab bravado. In my truck, I forwarded a copy of the draft email to myself and left the subject blank. Ready. I didn't need to send it yet. I needed the option. On the drive back to Austin, my phone showed Jenna's tagline stopping at the agency, then a sushi place half a mile from Mercer's building, then the same garage as the morning. She didn't text to check in. She didn't need to. I wasn't expecting it. That night, when I came in, she had candles out and an apron on. Another spread. A roast that must have taken half the day. Look at my domestic era, she joked, nervous and bright. I'm canceling the Friday booking. Let's do our own date night here. Phone's away. Good idea, I said, set mine upside down anyway. Looks like work was long. It's the season, she said, busying herself with the wine opener. We're chasing a national beverage account. Big dollars. Ryan's pushing, and Victoria loves to challenge people. It's a whip. How close are you to the whip? I asked. She looked up. Excuse me. Are you driving the team or hanging off the bumper? She laughed too quick. You're being weird again. Maybe. She set down the corkscrew. Don't do this thing where you turn into a cop. You make yourself small when you act like that. I'm not small, I replied. I'm measured. Measured, she repeated, tasting the word. Okay, Mr. Measured. Be measured about this. Victoria uses people. She gets in their heads. She loves to break up couples. It makes them compliant. Don't feed her. Don't let her into our home. She's not coming to our home, I said. Promise me, she pushed. If she reaches out again, you tell me first. We stay aligned. I leaned on the counter and upended that line like a carpenter flipping a board. Our home isn't a staging area. If you want aligned, stop running side projects in the shadows. She stared. What side projects? I held her eyes, said nothing. Let the silence mark the cut line. She swallowed. Fine, she said. I'm trying to grow. That's all. You of all people should get ambition. I get it, I said. I just don't confuse it with respect. She flinched, then reset her tone like a radio changing stations. Let's eat before it gets cold. We ate. She did the exaggerated tenderness thing, touching my forearm when she passed the salt, laughing at stories that weren't funny, tracing family ideas. We should get away. You and me. Reset. That was the first soft pivot, sugar over vinegar. I didn't swat it. I didn't swallow it either. I told her my Saturday was booked at the shop, A lift install for a client's old truck. I said I'd be gone early. She blinked. On a Saturday? We always do the farmer's market. No default plans, I reminded her. If you want my time, put it on the calendar. You make everything transactional, she said. It's ugly. I make rules, I said. They're even. She slept in the next morning. I left before the sun got loud and spent 6 hours in a drafty workshop that smelled like oil and honest work. My buddy Aaron owns the place. He's a square-jawed smartmouth who lives off black coffee and torque charts. You look like a guy balancing equations he didn't write, he said, seeing me tighten a control arm. I'm done arguing with static, I told him. So it's that kind of weekend. He handed me a socket extension. You good? Or you want a couch and a six-pack later? I'm good, I said. But keep the couch warmed. At noon, Jenna arrived at the shop with sandwiches, bright as a game show host. Thought you might be hungry, she said, sweeping in like she owned the air. Aaron, hi. Love the place. Aaron shot me a look that said he'd keep quiet and handed us shop towels. We ate at a steel table between tool chests. She slid her foot against mine under the table deliberately. I was rude last night, she said. I'm sorry. I've been restless. Work makes me sharp with you. You deserve better. Okay, I said. Not a pardon, not a parade. Can we do our Friday thing? She pressed. I'll book something simple. No pressure. Send the invite, I said. She tilted her head and studied me again, searching for softness to exploit. Aaron coughed, and she turned her smile to him. You're a good friend to keep this one busy so he doesn't brood. I'm a good friend to keep his tools calibrated, he said dryly. He doesn't brood. He builds. On her way out, she pressed a kiss to my cheek like a marker. I love you, she said, like she was testing whether those words could still open locks. Drive safe, I replied. She froze a bead at the door, accepted the boundary for now, and left. That was soft pivot number 2, bigger, sweeter, wrapped in apology and an audience. I let it wash by. My phone map drew her line back to the agency, then to a hotel garage that had started to feel like a second office for whoever needed a room out of sight. She didn't surface at home until 10. You didn't text, I said when she walked in. She tossed her keys in the bowl. I don't have to clock in with you. Right, I said. Because we're doing this like adults. Calendar invites work both ways. Stop being smug, she snapped. Victoria's getting to you. I can hear it. She wants us to fracture so she can pick off my accounts. Don't worry, I told her. She won't pick off anything from me. That's not what I said, Jenna said, stepping closer. Did you talk to her today? I leaned back on the counter. Jenna, answer me. I let the question hang until it folded in on itself. Doors open, I said finally. If you don't like how I run my life, you're free to go run yours elsewhere. Her mouth dropped. So that's it. You're just going to threaten divorce because I worked late. I'm not threatening anything, I said. I'm telling you the rules of participation. Respect is the minimum cover charge. If you can't pay it, the place isn't for you. She grabbed her tote like a stage prop and stalked down the hall. Drawers opened, closed. She didn't leave. People rarely walk out when they think they've still got the levers. 3 days of quiet. The tag ticked its little lines. Office. The coffee shop. Hotel garage. Once Mercer's building directly. Twice a residential tower 4 blocks away where the agency sometimes hosted client sessions. She started checking my phone when she thought I wasn't looking, hoping for leverage. She found nothing because I wasn't hiding anything. On the 3rd night, I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop open to a project plan. Jenna came in late again, makeup intact, hair too perfect for an exhausted manager. You're really not going to ask where I've been? She challenged, setting her tote down. I don't need to, I said. Because Victoria is feeding you stories. Because I'm literate, I said. She laughed and kept laughing long enough to turn it into disdain. You tracking me? Is that what this is? God, that would be rich. Come here, I said. She folded her arms. Why? Just come here. She came to the table with all the attitude in the county. I reached into her tote, under the liner where I'd reinforced the seam, and slid the small white disc free. I set it between us like a paperweight. Her whole stance wobbled. Not a theatrical collapse. Just a measure of air, leaving someone who'd been holding herself up with posture. You followed me, she whispered. I didn't answer. Mark, she said softly, and her knees touched the tile like gravity invited them. She put her hands on my thighs like a supplicant. I never wanted it to get this far. It got exactly as far as choices take people. I was scared. She pushed, eyes searching my face for a door. Victoria hates me. She's been trying to push me out for months. Ryan protects me. You don't understand. It's not personal, it's career. It's pressure. Stand up, I said. What? Stand up. She rose automatically, trained by life to respond to that tone, and I shrugged her hands off like a jacket I'd outgrown. You're not trapped, I told her. You're oriented. There's a difference. Please, she said, tears threatening because tears are solvents. We can fix this. I'll turn over everything. I'll stop working late. The door is open, I repeated. I'm not keeping you. You can leave tonight. You can stay and play honest. Or you can stay and keep staging. But whichever you pick, I'm done with fog. We're married, she hissed suddenly, anger snapping back. You owe me the benefit of the doubt. No, I said. I owe you the truth. And myself a spine. She stared, and in that stare, I watched her realize the one lever that always reset me. Guilt was unplugged. I picked up the tag, put it on the counter, and texted 2 messages. One went to Victoria, green light. Pull logs. The second went to my own email with the subject filled in now. To HR, security review package. Jenna saw me type, and panic split her smooth mask. Who are you texting? Let me pause the story for just a second. If you're still listening, please hit the like button on this video. It really helps YouTube show this story to more people. Thank you so much for the support. Now let's get back to the story. Work, I said. You know, pressure. You can't, Marcus, stop. I could lose my position. Ryan could. You don't have to blow up everything to make a point. I'm not making a point, I said. I'm making a boundary. She reached for my phone. I slid it into my pocket. No, I told her. She tried to pivot again, last resort voice. We've been together 8 years. We built a life. Please don't throw it away like a spreadsheet. It's not a spreadsheet, I said. It's a report. Mark, the door is open, I said for the last time, and walked past her to the garage. In the morning, her keycard at the agency didn't work. I know because Victoria sent me a single line at 8:13. Access revoked. HR escorting. No exclamation marks. No gloating. Just a process moving along a track. At 11 on the dot, an assistant texted me a photo from the 10th floor. Ryan's office, cleaned. A cardboard box on the desk. Security guard standing with a clipboard. That's what finished by lunch looks like when someone believes they're untouchable and learns otherwise. At noon, I got a formal note from the agency's HR generalist thanking me for the external documentation regarding policy circumvention. It was professional, sterile, final. Jenna texted twice that afternoon. We need to talk. Please answer me. I didn't. I let her feel the silence she'd drafted for me for months. I finished my site plan and sent it to the client with notes they didn't expect but would appreciate when the slab didn't crack. At 6, Jenna came home and set her purse down like it weighed 40 pounds. You ruined me, she said. No, I answered, rinsing a coffee mug. I set the truth upright. You sent that woman after me. She'll smear me. She doesn't have to smear anything, I said. The logs speak. You think you're noble, she spat. You think you're St. Marcus with your rules. You just like to control. I like to live in a world where people mean what they do, I said. She rubbed her temple. Can we at least settle this without destroying each other? I can't have you yelling in rooms, dragging my name. I looked at her. When have I yelled in a room? She swallowed. You're right. You don't yell. You just press buttons. I'm not pressing anything, I said. I'm done. The paperwork took 2 weeks to draft because nothing happens as fast as you want it to when you're clean. I didn't hire a bulldog. I didn't run a smear. I sat in a quiet room at a long table with a neutral person guiding signatures. Facts and dates. Here's the property. Here's the account. No raised voices. No speeches. No, but you promised, and but you said. What I had sent to the agency did most of the arguing for me. There would be no support to her based on the record. She knew it. Her face went gray like the sky right before rain that never comes. After, outside, she touched my sleeve like maybe there was an alternate track still available if she pressed the right code. We can still, maybe in a year, after this calms down. No, I said. This is the calm. You won't even consider. I shook my head. Jenna, I won't be the man who forgets what it felt like to stand on a roof and be told I was embarrassing myself for asking for basic respect. She pulled her hand back. So that's your last word. I nodded once. Here's two more. Stay honest. That's rich, she muttered and walked away. I watched her last test die in the air, then turned and did what grown men do. I went to my truck, started it, and drove to work because the slab pour at a school renovation needed eyes in the morning, and nothing softens a decision like watching concrete go down true. In the weeks after, things rearranged themselves because they had to. I moved out of the duplex into a small house with a carport and a live oak that throws shade just right in the afternoon. The neighborhood's quiet. The neighbors wave from their porches without asking for your story. I bought a used SUV from a guy who maintained it like a pilot logs hours. I swapped the seats in my garage, built a workbench, labeled drawers because labeled drawers keep you honest. The first Friday in the new place, Aaron came over with burgers and an ugly lamp as a housewarming gift. It was in my attic, he said. It looked like it could tolerate your taste. It's hideous, I said. I love it. A week later, I met a woman named Elise in line at a hardware store. She was returning the wrong faucet cartridge with the same face I wear when a plan doesn't match the bolts in the box. We talked about homes and water pressure and music from 10 years ago that doesn't make you feel like you're trying too hard. We went for coffee the next day. She speaks like a person who expects you to understand the first time. We didn't rush anything. We didn't perform. I didn't sell her anything. That's what it feels like when your walls aren't full of posters you have to keep straight. Work went better because the inside of my head stopped arguing with itself. I stopped taking emergency Saturday calls that weren't emergencies. I trained a junior engineer to run site meetings, and he surprised me with being good when I stopped hovering. I got back to lifting weights with Aaron before dawn, not to post numbers anywhere, just to keep the machine tuned. As for Jenna, I learned from a friend of a friend that she landed a short-term contract with a small shop outside the city. No big accounts. Lots of rebuilding. She moved into a one-bedroom in a new complex with gray floors and loud neighbors. I didn't feel happy about it. I didn't feel sad. That's not my math anymore. She texts on holidays, neutral, almost polite. I don't answer. Not bitterness, just clarity. When you remove the lever, the beam stops creaking. Sometimes I think about that roof in Houston and how a palm on a back, an inch too low, can tell you everything you need to know about a person's respect for boundaries. I think about Victoria's bluntness and Aaron's deadpan couch offers and my own refusal to be drawn into a play that wasn't mine. If there's a moral, it's small and hard. You can't demand respect. You can only live in a way that makes it the price of admission. And when someone shows you they can't pay it, you open the door and let them keep walking. The last thing I said to Jenna in person was simple. She'd come by for a box of winter clothes she'd left in my garage. She stood there looking around my place like it was a museum of dull choices. Workbench, labeled drawers, the lamp Aaron accused me of liking. She wanted to say something sharp. I could see it riding up her throat. Don't, I said. She swallowed whatever it was, lifted the box, and shifted her feet. You seem fine. I am, I said. And I intend to stay that way. She set the box down for a second. Did I ever love you? She asked. Or did I love what you made stable? That's a question for you, I replied. She nodded, as if that was the only answer that could have been true, picked up her box, and left. The door closed. The house stayed quiet in the right ways. Outside, someone was mowing. Ordinary noise. Honest noise. I turned back to my bench, opened a drawer to put away a new set of bits, and smiled a little at my own handwriting on the label, pilot holes. It felt accurate. You drill them so the screw goes in straight without splitting the board. You don't force it. You don't beg it. You line it up, you guide, you commit. Then you walk away from anything that won't hold. That's not bitterness. That's building. Our story has come to an end. If you've made it this far, how about subscribing to our channel? It helps us immensely. I've selected 2 other videos for you that I'm sure you'll enjoy. Feel free to click on them. I'll be waiting for you in the next story. See you soon.